Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My boy Cal here. Today we're going to be predicting the NBA playoffs for this season. The play-in games wrapped up tonight with Atlanta beating Cleveland and the Clippers falling to the Pelicans. So I'm going to go ahead and predict all the games. Please forgive me, I'm trying out a new recording software, so hopefully it works well. I have no idea if it will. Also, apologies that the audio was a bit weird on the last video. I fucked up my microphone settings magically. So let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to start. Um, there's not really a whole lot of time to do this if you want to. If you want to go ahead and predict it, because those playoffs kind of start in 11 hours as I'm recording this. Maybe they've already started if you're watching it, but we'll go ahead and start in the West with the 1-8 matchup, Phoenix and New Orleans. Obviously, Phoenix is a much better team, and I don't really think New Orleans is going to have a ton of answers defensively for a guy like Devin Booker and Chris Paul at the top of their game. New Orleans doesn't have a ton of like defensive guard depth. Maybe a bit more down low as you get into like the wings and um, of course Jonas Valanciunas, but obviously Phoenix is a better team, and they've proven that over the course of the regular season. So I'm going to go Phoenix in 4. Um, Although if I don't think this will happen, but if New Orleans does get Zion back, I this could definitely turn into a hell of a series. New Orleans is going to be a scary, scary team when Zion returns to this roster. Also, they got picks like this year. They're only getting better. They've done a really good job building that team up. Next up is Dallas and Utah. Um, no Luka Doncic for game one, probably game two, I'm going to guess. Um, so, really, because of, if that wasn't the case, I'd probably have Dallas winning in 6, maybe 7. But because no Luka in the first two, I don't really see Utah losing to Dallas without Luka. So it's 2-0 up. I think Utah is going to go ahead and take it home in 5. Obviously, be a different story if Luka was fully healthy, but he's not, and the Utah Jazz will advance. Next up is probably the series I'm most excited for: Golden State and Denver, especially if Curry is playing. I don't know if he is at the moment. This is assuming he does. Um, these are two really, really interesting teams. You got Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets, who've been really good, even though they haven't necessarily been healthy. The Nuggets could honestly win a chip this year if they were healthy. And if guys like Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. magically come back from injury, Michael Porter won't, but um, if Jamal Murray magically comes back from injury, the Nuggets could be really, really good. And they'll definitely be a contender next year. But because they're not fully healthy, MVP Jokic can only do so much. They've got good role players around him. But I think Clay and Draymond and Curry and Jordan Poole is just going to be too much to handle for the Nuggets. I'm going Warriors in 6. Next up are going to be a really gritty series. This one will be fun in the Western Conference. We have Memphis and Minnesota. Minnesota, definitely a really young team that got interesting pieces. They won the playing game the other night against the Clippers. I made a whole video on them last year. Remember, like I think I was listening to the Old Man the Three podcast today, and someone said something like, "No one predicted the Minnesota Timberwolves to be in the playoffs," and I was like screaming at the top of my lungs that I did. Um, so I'm pretty proud of that. But they're going up against Memphis here. Memphis had a really good year. They've built a bit of culture there, and this could really go either way. I think Memphis obviously kind of overperformed, but they're really good even without John Morant. And when you're really good without your MVP candidate, that really says something about a group who, on paper, maybe doesn't look like a anywhere close to a playoff basketball team that was like 23-2 without him or something like that. Um, it's kind of ridiculous, but just because of overall depth reasons, I think Minnesota will be back here. But I'm gonna go Memphis in 5. So the round out the Western Conference first round. All pretty short series ish. The longest was Golden State in six, so we'll to see if they get a little bit longer. In the Eastern Conference, we'll start with Miami and Atlanta. Um, and I think Miami is like far and away the better team. This one's kind of similar to New Orleans. Um, I do think Trae Young, big game player, he's proven that, and a lot of young guys haven't really at that age that you know they're a big game player. Like you look at his draft class, it's like Luca. Has Luca proven he's a big game player? I don't feel like he has, but I feel like Trae Young has. That's a really hard thing to do at that age. That definitely not a lot of guys are doing. So I think they'll go ahead and take a game. That was a long explanation for Atlanta to take a game, but it is what it is. Next up is Philly, James Harden, Joel Embiid, and the rest of the Sixers up against Pascal Siakam and the Raptors. I'm gonna go ahead and go Philly in six. I like what the Raptors are doing. I'm just not a big believer. They need some more pieces and maybe a superstar if you can get one up to Toronto. That'd be cool. But I mean, they have young pieces, but Philly's just kind of too good. Milwaukee and Chicago's next. I'm taking Milwaukee in five. I think DeRozan and Levine are good enough to take one, but Milwaukee's a really, really good basketball team. Obviously the defending champions, and Chicago's really been struggling as of late. They should probably, if they'd ended out the season properly, they could be a 2 or 3 seed right now, but they have really struggled. And now maybe the series I'm most excited for. Actually, yeah, this one's probably more exciting than Warriors Nuggets. But Boston and Brooklyn. This is really fun. These are definitely two championship contenders. I think this is the only one series in the first round where you say it's two definitive championship contenders coming at each other. Nets have obviously underperformed, but they do have Kyrie. That doesn't necessarily mean they'll be great. And Boston's kind of everybody's, all the stat nerds, Boston's kind of the pick to win it all, which is hard to believe because all the teams that I'd really consider contenders, I don't really believe in Boston. I mean, I want to say that doesn't feel like they've done it in the playoffs, the experience. But that's just incorrect, even though I want to say it. But I do think Brooklyn. Oh, this is a really tough one. I'm I'm gonna go Boston in seven. I think Marcus Smart gets over the top, walks down Kyrie a game or two, and they have a hell of a game seven. And Brooklyn's wondering what they're gonna do next because that would be a really interesting offseason if they don't make it out of the first round of the playoffs. Um, and barely snuck in as it was because of the play in. So I'm going to go Boston in seven. Next up is Phoenix and Utah. Uh, Utah's kind of an unserious team, if I'm being honest. I don't really give them much of a shot. I don't. They really only got out of the first round because Luka's hurt. So yeah, Phoenix and four should just take care of them nice and easy. Um, and maybe Donovan Mitchell will be a Nick, and Rudy Gobert will be playing somewhere not called Salt Lake City next year. Golden State and Memphis should be fun, but really, at the end of the day, Memphis is a really good basketball team, and as good as they were this year, I still think they overachieved. Golden State maybe too a little, but Memphis hasn't proven they can do it yet, and I like them. I think they're going to be a good team. I think maybe they could win a championship 2 or 3 years down the line. But I'm gonna have to go Golden State in five. Relatively easy series. Miami and Philadelphia. This one's interesting. Miami's been really, really good over the course of the year. Philadelphia not as much. They've been solid. Obviously, you got Joel Embiid and James Harden. James Harden hasn't really been amazing for the Sixers, but he's still James Harden. Um, and I really think this is going to be a really, really fun series. There are two teams going to be back and forth. Um, I think maybe kind of similar to how Raptors Sixers was a couple years ago, although Sixers are definitely not as deep as they were then with Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Um, so I'm gonna go Miami in seven. Nice little 7 game series, but I think the whole Heat are just too good. And then Milwaukee and Boston. I think Milwaukee is just too much for Boston. They're coming off a long 7 game series against the Nets. I think they will fall in 6 against the defending champions. So next up, our final 4 teams are Phoenix and Golden State, and Miami and Milwaukee. Phoenix and Golden State have played a couple times this year. Pretty much all of them have been really good games. I don't know if I can say the same about Milwaukee and Miami, but both won 3 seed matchups, which is interesting. But we'll start in the West with Phoenix and Golden State. And this is a really tough one to predict, but I think Curry and Clay get it done in the end. And I'm going Golden State in 6. And then in the East, Miami and Milwaukee, I'm going Milwaukee in 7. Or that's 6. In 7 over the Heat. I think they just have that. They've been here before and they've done it. I guess so. The Heat, they got to the finals less than the season. I guess just 2 seasons ago. But Milwaukee did it last year, and they won a chip, and they're going to have uh, that ego kind of or I guess the confidence the experience to get it done. Golden State kind of in a similar way with Draymond and Clay and Steph and all those guys that were there before the little kind of rebuild thingamajig they did in 2019, 2020, and last year. And that leads us to Golden State Milwaukee for the NBA championship. And I'm going to have to go with Golden State in 7. This will be a really fun finals. I have no idea what the point margin will be. That is not. Um, but that's going to be it. Golden State in 7. It'll be a really fun finals. Thank you for watching.